Hello, this is the TradeSight Forex Market Preview and International Economic Data Roadmap for the week beginning Sunday, the 16th of March, 2014, ending Friday, the 21st of March. Charts, as usual, brought to you by eSignal 11. I'm going to start out by looking at the daily charts of the Forex pairs. Look at the intra-week action that we just wrapped up. It was kind of a narrow week overall. And then look at the economic data, develop a plan for next week. So here's a look at the dollar index daily chart. Been focused on this for a while. We had this 13 sell signal back at the beginning of January, and that's contained the market since then. It has sort of worn its course or run its course at this point as we complete a 9-bar move to the downside. That sort of wraps that up. But now we're working on another 9-bar move that just completed and starting a new seeker count, and we're very near the static trend line of that last move. Having said that, all of this is in an impossibly narrow range at this point in time. And I'm going to flip to a weekly chart just to give you an idea of how bad this is. If you look at the last couple of years or so here on the dollar index, this is where we've been now for 6 months, right here on the right side of the chart where I'm moving my mouse. And that's really poor action. I mean, you can see even if you just look at last year, we had a low of 79 and a high of 85, 6 points on the dollar index. That's even narrow compared to what we usually see. Go back a couple of years. And meanwhile, we've been sitting here in basically a 2-point range for 6 months. So that's some of the narrowest net Forex action I've seen in a long time. Let's take a look at the euro, and then we'll look at the pound and the Aussie. Euro breaking out here. Did break the green static trend line. That's why it's dashed now. Should point out that it did it only 5 bars into a new seeker count. That usually leads to some acceleration, and we seem to be getting it to the upside. But overall, if you just take a look at the last 5 days, we didn't really make any progress at all, as you can see on the euro dollar. Here's a look at the pound dollar. Boy, this has been flat. Look at this. A month now in basically a 200 pip range. That is, boy, that is remarkable. The word untradeable comes to mind. It's just really not the type of environment you like to be wrapped up in the markets. And then here's the Aussie dollar, also been flat for the last month or two. So we're just in that period where there's just not a lot going on. There's nothing you can do about it. Here's a look at the intra-week action. So let's start with the euro dollar 30-minute bars showing you this last week. So we've got Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday, and last Sunday's close right there. Look at this. Total for the week is 140 pips, but most of it on Thursday up and back. Other than that, I would say the majority of the week was in about a 50 pip range for the entire week on the euro dollar. That's not pretty at all. Then we have the pound dollar, which, as you saw on the daily chart, didn't look too active. And here's what this looks like. The entire week on the pound, from 67.20 down to 65.80 as a low, 140 pips. But really, yeah, again, that move on Thursday, you take that out, this thing's in like a 40 pip range for the whole week almost. Take out the early move Sunday and the up and back on Thursday, and just imagine how flat this would have been. Horrible, horrible action across the board. And lucky that we got a couple winners to offset a couple losers. We had a day without a trade triggering. That's unusual in itself. Meanwhile, the Aussie traded almost 200 pips of range. A little bit more movement here, surprisingly, for those that like to trade the Aussie using our levels. All right, so with not much else to look at, let's take in terms of what we just saw this last week. Let's take a look at what's coming this week in terms of economic data. So starting with Sunday, remember we've had the time change here in the U.S. now for a week, and that sometimes slows things down for a bit, but that should have worn off by now. Westpac consumer sentiment out of New Zealand Sunday at 5 p.m. Eastern to kick off the week. New motor vehicle sales out of Australia. We got the CPI out of Europe going into Monday morning. U.S. has got Empire State Manufacturing Index, tick, long-term purchases, capacity utilization, and industrial production. We've got the housing market index data. Australia has the monetary minutes from the last meeting. China's foreign direct investment. Swiss SECO economic forecasts. German WPI, Italian trade balance. German ZOO economic sentiment data and trade balance data out of Europe. Manufacturing sales out of Canada early Tuesday, along with our CPI here in the U.S. That's one of our big three, so we'll be half size Monday night going into Tuesday, or actually less than half size because we've been half size anyway. Current account out of New Zealand Tuesday night. MI leading index out of Australia. Japan's trade balance. UK does all of their unemployment related stuff at 5:30 a.m. Eastern time on Wednesday. ZOO economic expectations number out of Switzerland next. German 10-year bond auction. Canada's got wholesale inventories. UK's got their budget U.S. has got current account and then crude oil inventory, so not much out of the U.S. on Wednesday, but we do have the Fed announcement Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. That's a two-day meeting from Tuesday to Wednesday, so that's going to slow us up. We'll be half size Tuesday going into Wednesday as well, or less than half size, I should say. GDP out of New Zealand, Australia's RBA bulletin. Trade balance out of Switzerland going into Thursday, German PPI, LIBOR rate out of Switzerland, change. Unemployment claims, that's the weekly number out of the U.S. Existing home sales and Philly Fed and CB leading index out of the U.S., followed by natty gas at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday. The stress test results come out at 4 p.m. at the stock market close. Visitor arrivals out of New Zealand. Japan goes on a bank holiday for Friday. Credit card spending out of New Zealand. Current account out of Europe going into Friday morning. Canada releases their retail sales and CPI data, followed by European consumer confidence at 11 a.m. Eastern Time on Friday to close out the week. So the big stuff is earlier in the week, the CPI here in the U.S., followed by the two-day Fed meeting. Should also point out this week is triple expiration. Options, commodities, and futures all expiring. We've already rolled the futures contracts the other day, but this triple expirations, when they occur, tend to be really flat Fridays. So the odds that we're going to get much of a move this coming Friday is not too great. Obviously, the CPI and after the Fed announcement are the bigger chances for this week. So I'd say Sunday night and Wednesday night will be less than half size. Monday night and Tuesday for the data, and Thursday going into Friday, very low expectations with the Fed. I'm sorry, with the expiration, the triple expiration. We will be calling it in the lab as usual. We hope to see you there so we can help you make some money. Have a great trading week.